Everyone, welcome to the Tourism Development Council. Let's do the pledge first, and then we'll do roll call, okay? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good, thank you. Can we call the roll, attendance?
Julie Braga, Mayor Connors, Vice Chair Hermanson. Here. Larry Jarnes, Alex Littress.
Here.
Mayor Medina, John Moran,
Here.
Wayne Sword,
Here.
Chair Feltner.
Here. That's a quorum? Yep, okay. All right, thank you for that. Are there any disclosures, conflicts, anything anyone needs to disclose before we get started? No? Okay. We have minutes to approve for November 12th, 2025. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes? Is there a motion for the minutes? Have a motion by Vice Chair Hermanson. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Wayne Sword. Call the roll on that real quick.
Vice Chair Hermanson,
Here, or yes?
Alex Littress.
Aye. Yes.
Mr. John Moran,
Yes.
Wayne Sword,
Yes.
Chair Feltner.
Yes, thank you. We'll show that approved. All right, Peter.
Thank you, sir. Couple of things before we get into some meat and potatoes items. On TDT, which is in your packet on page 26. So we have 2 months of reporting so far. October was just slightly off from the prior October, down about 1%, and then November came in pretty good at a little over 3%. Tracking December to be maybe flat or slightly down, so we'll see how that pans out. Clerk has been doing a pretty good job of giving us, the information we need on in a timely fashion, so that's been good. We're working through some reporting detail with them on their software, so that's just ongoing effort with them. But other than that, they seem to have a pretty good handle on the process and are doing a good job of giving us the data when we need it. Budgetarily, we're good. We just finished the first quarter. That's usually the lowest spending quarter from a marketing perspective. So, I think we're still in good shape in that area. But the budget's on 27, 28. If anybody has any questions on that, I will mention we did kick off our spring campaign. So spring marketing is running, and we're hopeful that we'll have a good spring. We think we're in pretty good shape. I know there's some sort of cautionary tales that we're keeping an eye on, but overall, hopefully, we're off to the races with some good marketing out there. Other than that, like I said, if there's any questions on budget, I'm happy to answer. But I think we're in good fiscal condition right now.
Are there questions for Peter on that? No? Okay, Peter.
Okay, and then just a reminder, so the subcommittees will start to meet in, typically that happens in March. The two committees that are for sure placed are the beach and marketing committees. On the second page of the agenda, we have dates for both of those. For, the membership of the TDC did not change at all from last year. So unless you know, if you would like to make a change to your appointments, I would just ask if you could bring that to the next meeting, to the February TDC meeting. And obviously, Commissioner, you can change the chairs of those committees if you so choose, or you can leave them as is. So we'll just defer to the TDC to think about that for the next month, and then just come back with a final on that. I think there's one, John, I think you owe me a person for the beach committee, so I can work with you on that if you need some help, but you did appoint somebody to marketing, so we can keep that person engaged on that. So, so other than that, that's it on the subcommittee report, and if there's no questions on that, then I will move to item 3, which is discussion about capital facilities, which we do need to have a little bit more of an in-depth.
Questions for Peter on those committees?
Did you take action on suspending culture, sports?
So last year, we made a change to the TDC's operating procedures manual, which removed sports and cultural from the list of committees, standing committees, so they're no longer standing committees. So yeah, that's a permanent action.
Beach and marketing.
Just beach, marketing, and capital.
Okay.
We'll have a conversation here in a second about capital, so.
Are there any other questions? Wayne?
So if we had somebody on last year, they just stay on?
They can stay on. If you want to make a change, you can certainly let me know, but they're also fine to stay, so.
I was going to say that I don't see why we need to change them if they're working well. That's my,
I didn't know if they'd
My
want to get
view.
out in certain situations, or,
I mean, if, certainly reach out to, if you want to reach out to them, and if you need any contact info or anything like that, I'm happy to provide that. So we got the list of who appointed who, so. I haven't heard from anybody that they were not happy serving, so. In fact, I think we've heard from a couple that wanted to stay on, so.
well, that sounds ideal if you have people actually come to meeting and they're willing to go to more of them for free.
Right.
That's pretty good, so. Any other questions for Peter on the committees then? Okay.
Okay, so sir, we're moving into item 3, which is discussion about capital facilities. A couple of decision points we'll need to talk about. First will be, do we convene a committee this year? And if so, do we want to have some kind of grant program or process? So that'll be a discussion. And then thirdly, we wanted to have a little bit more detailed discussion about the grant criteria, guidelines, regardless of whether we have a actual grant program this year. We wanted to talk about the guidelines and some thoughts on changes that we have. So I'm gonna start by, in your pack, well, it's not attached to your packet, it was separate from your packet. I put in a 10-year projection of budget. The first column is this fiscal year. You can see we had about $650,000 available this fiscal year. If you look at the next column, a lot of projects are getting sort of resolved, if you will, or getting we'll be wrapping up. The Lighthouse project and the amphitheater, those two particularly, we expect those to be done this fiscal, so all reimbursements will be made and those will be completed projects. But then next year, we'll have, again, we'll have the aquarium. They're slated to break ground. I don't have a date yet, but they're supposed to break ground by April. And if they do, then that kicks off the 10 years of $1.5 million. So that's in here. I put in lifeguards because I believe that will be a request from the board to continue to fund some portion of the lifeguard budget. So I've plugged that in. Brightline, nothing yet. We don't know. They've just are applying to the federal administration for a grant that would be, I think, 45 million is what they're seeking. And then, we have 5 million we're holding for them, and I think the city of Cocoa does as well. So, that would be something that would be future. We'll hear more about that later this year, I expect. That being said, if all, happens the way that I've laid it out here, then you can see down at the bottom, there'd be just under $1 million available. Frankly, not ideal for, an award of a grant this year. That's not really, a good amount for a capital program. I mean, we'd like to see it be, significantly more than that. That'll start to go up over the next couple of years. But again, I'll let the TDC kind of think about that for a minute, and we'll just talk a little bit more about the guidelines, and then we can come back and have a conversation about whether we want, we want to have the committee meet, or if we want to have a grant program. So that just gives you the top line on budgetarily. And then also in your packet, I put set of guidelines. And I'm just going to talk through the issues. I'm not going to walk through section by section, because there's a lot of red lines that we just update from year to year. Those are just things that we do. But there's 3 or 4 significant changes to the guidelines that we added to sort of, ensure some additional protections for the county and for the TDC. And 3 or 4 in particular I wanted to really discuss and get any feedback on. And one was, in the past, we've always allowed various types of elements of a project to be reimbursed, including things like architectural and engineering work that would be done, site planning work, things that would be done like prior to construction. We took that out and said that's not allowable. We're only going to allow actual construction work to be reimbursable. So that's a big change, but that, I think if you think about the situation that we're in currently with one of the recipients, that would have protected us from that. Secondarily, when the reimbursement occurs, typically we were the sort of the first source for people to get reimbursement. So, and usually in the first year, we would start getting reimbursement requests on projects. And just as an example, if it's a $50 million project and we gave $5 million for it, we would have been the first $5 million requested. We put in here that we would be the last funding requested. So they would have to come up with $45 million first, and then at the end of the project, then they would ask for that reimbursement. So again, that would be a protection, seeing that the progress of a construction project, and that it would be, fully developed almost before they started getting their final reimbursement from us. So again, I think a good protection there. And then thirdly, because it had been a reimbursement program, we did not have a clawback in there, because the thought was, well, you spend the money, you'll get reimbursed for your money as you go. But we've added a clawback. And again, all of this is still under review by the county attorney's office, but our thought was, no, let's, say if a project goes, 10%, 20%, even 50% of the way, but then it doesn't complete, then we would claw back any funds, because the project did not reach completion. So those are 3 things in there, I think, that will give us very good protection. But obviously at this point, we're still talking conceptually, so we're very open to other thoughts and ideas that the TDC might have. I think what I'll do at this point, unless there's, specific other things that you'd like to talk about, I'll just let the TDC kind of weigh in on those 3 things and then see where that takes us.
Let me ask a quick technical question. On the clawback, is that something like a lien that's recorded, and then when the whole project is done, then it's released? Does it,
I mean, I'm kind of looking at
Is that-
Justin for
I'm sorry.
that one. I'm not sure, we wrote it in, and basically it does, it says, if a project ceases forward progress for more than 12 months or does not come to fruition, any funding that have been reimbursed would need to be returned. I don't know technically if it would be a lien per se.
Yeah, that's something we could explore, but it would be more contractual obligation. We're saying if you receive these funds and they're completed, we would loan that back, so we would go under the contract.
Without guarantees. It's like great to have it in writing, but
That's what we could explore, potentially put in a list pen, it wouldn't be a list pendants, but we would have the right to, that's not something we've looked at yet.
Yeah.
so,
well, first of all, I like the idea that we're the last. I think that's probably a real common sense, in my mind, that's a common sense sort of thing. And then also, I think in section 7 here, allowable cost includes hard cost of materials, steel, concrete, wood, finishes, interior paint, flooring, cabinetry, those kinds of things, but not building plans and studies and those sorts of things. So we're paying for hard cost. I think that's also a common sense kind of thing. So, Peter, this is for us to consider, and we'll take it up at a
Yeah, I mean,
future
I think,
meeting.
I think we, two things. One is, let's maybe get into discussion about whether we want to have a program for next year, because obviously we'll need guidelines for that program, and this is something that if you wanted to have a committee review, a committee could review it, and then it would come back to the TDC. Or if we just want to make those changes, and the TDC could just vote on making those changes, and we'll just make that happen.
Well, as
So-
far as the policy is concerned and how we protect ourselves in the future, I think you could adopt those changes without having necessarily, for lack of a better term, having the necessary funds in there for
Right.
projects in the next year. So I
True.
think we could take the time to get this right, and then if the money's available in the future, then I think that's kind of a different thing.
Yeah, and I would just ask whether we want to do that today or we want to do it at, maybe the next meeting.
Well,
Similar to how we did the marketing support program grants, just allow us to work with the CAO on any Scrivener-type changes, punctuation and language and things like that, allow us to be able to make sort of final changes
do you
after.
need anything from us today to move forward with the county attorney's office on some of these changes? You don't
Well, we
you don't
wouldn't.
need a motion or
Yeah,
anything
we
today?
wouldn't, I mean, if the TC wants to vote on the changes that I discussed, that would give us I think, good direction, and then we
Is
could
that-
bring a final draft back at a
Is that
future date.
helpful for upstairs?
Yeah,
Do we-
it's up to you.
we could-
Peter and I can just proceed as it is and bring like a final
But-
document. As long
but
as we
you-
get some
but
sort
you-
of direction.
Okay, well, we could do a motion to adopt the changes that he said. Let's state it one more time so we're all clear on those changes.
Okay, number one is only reimbursement on construction materials and construction activity,
In section 7.
section 7.
Okay, very good.
we
Okay.
have comments?
I'm sorry, I'm happy to do all that. I was just, get it sort of in the
No,
clear, no, just clarify what yeah, so go ahead, sir.
No, I think it's a good idea. I think it's great. Some nuances, if it's a finance project, you start getting into sort of the sequence of flow. I think the public funds should be the most protected versus private donations and the entity applying donations. So absolutely should go toward the last. If it's a finance project or takes any financing at all, you're gonna run into some technical issues there that'll probably arise when they come back, because usually the bank is last in order to get the financing. So it could be last of the equity contributions, and presumably it's hard to tell, and every project's gonna be different, but it would be last of the equity in, as opposed to the last dollars in. That'd be one thing to consider. And then, you know, the allowable costs here, this probably needs a little bit more of refinement, you know, maybe against, you know, the construction costs, which are much more elaborate than these 4 selections here. But, you know, we should maybe say a guaranteed maximum price contract, and it can be contributions towards, you know, the contract amount once that's signed and underway. Because we're just limiting it here to a few physical items.
Justin, is that clear what Tom's
Yeah.
asking for? Okay.
And then the clawback, as I said, is great in spirit, but, you know, if a company fails and there's no personal guarantees on these things, it's somewhat of a moot point. But I think you're protecting the public funds by what you're doing here, being last.
Yeah, it probably is sort of a moot point, right? Yeah. If we're last in line, then that's the ideal protection.
Oh,
So, okay, so we would get this in the proper posture potentially for the next meeting, or maybe 2 meetings from now? And today, you would be looking for,
Commissioner. I had a thought, if you didn't mind. I know we, like you said, want to get this right, and I know we might not have funds for the capital, but if we were to form the committee and have them kind of work through this process of, you know, putting all these details together so that when there is funds available, that committee can then just roll right into whether does it make sense, does it fit the guidelines, because they helped, you know, work with our staff to put the guidelines together. That was just kind of a thought that came to my head. I didn't know what you guys thought about
so
that.
you would like a subcommittee to consider these changes before the TDC?
Well, I think it would make sense that as the committee works towards maybe approving some of these grants down the road, if they were the ones that were already kind of on the ground floor of working through this process, they could roll right into maybe the next fiscal year when there is money available to look at the grant applications. So then the committee would already be formed, basically.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
I think so. I guess I was just looking for this to get in the right sort of legal framework, get the legalese from the county attorney's office, so we could discuss it. This might have to go through a couple of drafts. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, so that we get it right. So I think what we're looking for at this point is for the county attorney to have direction to work on some of these things. I like Mr. Hermanson's amendment there, so we're clear on what he said? Okay.
So this is just an agreement for the county attorney's office to move forward on the revised draft that'll come back.
Yes,
Because that'll give everybody a chance to read
Yes,
this.
correct.
Since we just
Yeah,
got it.
yes.
And if we bring it back at the next meeting, I think you could still have another discussion about whether to convene a subcommittee to look at it as well, or, you know, perhaps the TDC's fine with it or whatever, so.
Can I throw my 2 cents in on the first question? So I'm a big proponent in these capital funds being used for meaningful, impactful projects. And the $1 million sets us up for non-meaningful, non-impact projects to come in here and ask for funds. And we have a horrible track record of approving everything that comes before this board. So open to hearing other people's ideas, but my recommendation would be, based on the lack of funds, that we say no applications for this year until we accrue something in a meaningful amount, and then continue to try to reserve funds for projects that are going to actually have an impact on tourism, as opposed to saying yes to everybody that walks through the door.
I see where you're going, and I think certainly if we just said we're not going to do it in this year, we could just simply revisit that after this fiscal is behind us.
I would vote for that.
Okay, and I would be there too. And so we can still do the policy, we can get that straight. We're not looking at capital grants this year because of the money that's in the pot there. And that's just something that we'll revisit after we get a policy in place and in the next year. That seems like the pragmatic thing in my view. What's everyone else think on that?
Agree.
I mean, I would appreciate a vote on that particular
Okay.
point, just so we have that on record, and then we can, bring back the policy piece later.
Okay, do we,
I'll make a motion. Make a motion that we, based on the current depletion of funds, the TDC not consider any capital funding grants for the current year, with the caveat that this is an absolute limit on lifeguard funding as well out of the capital facility. Can I add that in there? Because just as a small amount of funds limits us to doing
yeah, I think
impactful projects.
that's going to be a board, for the county commission board
Well-
decision, okay, so.
I know, I'm also concerned that if there's funds in here, that more will get diverted to lifeguards, which in my mind are not capital projects that impact tourism.
I understand the concern, but the county was certainly in a difficult position in the last year, and it's our budget constraints, and we don't know what's going to happen with property taxes. I wish I had a crystal ball on that and what the legislature is going to do. So if I had better information on that, I'd go with you on that item. But if we could do if you'd amend your motion we're going to leave the money there. Okay.
No, we won't, but due to lack of funds, we won't consider capital fund requests for the 25-26 calendar year.
And the,
26-27, sorry.
all right, well, let's do these, how about we do it in two
No,
motions?
we're in the 25-26 calendar year now, right?
Right.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
25-26.
There wouldn't be a grant cycle in 25-26, but the funds that we would have used would be coming from next year's bucket, so it'll be.
Right, okay, so I'll amend, we won't consider capital grant funding requests for the current or next fiscal years.
All right, let's do that as its own motion. So, is there?
Second.
Okay. So, motion by Tom Hermanson. We have a second by Mayor Connors. We'll call the roll on that.
Mayor Connors,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hermanson,
Yes?
Alex Littrell,
Yes.
John Moran,
Yes.
Wayne Sword,
Yes.
Chair Feltner.
Yes, and we'll show that's adopted unanimously. Okay, very good. Now, let's get back to the county attorney language, and you need some direction there, right? Is that what we're looking for?
Yes, sir.
And you bring back a draft to us potentially in the next meeting, if they can do that? So we need to probably restate the changes that we're looking for in this next draft. So I think,
So the
Tom,
one I captured from Tom was look at expanding the list of construction costs, because there was a finite list when we came up with it, so we'll look at that.
and I think he said something about clawback too, right? And if you were
Well,
doing a
that was just
financing.
That was just an observation. If you're going to have clawback guarantees, it's going to impact anybody's ability to get financing, as well as being the last dollars in.
The clawback is potentially a moot point if we're looking to be the last dollars. Okay.
I think there's a lot of good examples that the zone used in terms of money in and clawbacks. The county's attorney's office had a lot of great contracts that I've reviewed over the years, looking at those. So I think they'll find a good spot.
Are we clear on the direction that we're giving you here? You need that in a motion?
If you'd like to make a motion.
Okay. Sir, you want to make that as a motion?
We'll make a Yeah, this is a work in progress, but
Yep.
we'll make a motion to continue to develop the additional restrictions as outlined in the current draft with respect to capital facilities requests to include the highlights in the current draft.
Okay. Second?
No,
Yeah,
that's kind
that's
of a
good.
wishy-washy motion.
All right. I'll second that, okay? Let's call the roll on that.
Sorry. Mayor Connors,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hermanson.
Yes.
Mr. Alex Littrick.
Yes.
John Moran,
Yes.
Wayne Sword,
Yes.
Chair Feltner.
Yes. We'll show that adopted. Thank you. All right.
Okay, so that, I think that answers the questions we have for now. I think, as I said, we can always address the subcommittee in February when we bring back the draft. So I think right now we've got all our questions answered under that section, sir.
Okay, I don't think we have any public comments today, right? No? Okay, move through that. We'll go to board reports. There's no Julie. Mayor Connors?
Thank you very much. I actually just drove here from Tallahassee, straight through, to make sure I made it here, but getting the vibes of what's happening in Tallahassee in regards to property taxes. The Senate hasn't even taken it up yet. They're kind of waiting to see what comes out of the House, and I think the executive branch, the House, and the Senate, they're all on opposite sides of the tree, so I don't even think we're gonna get there, but we'll see what happens. And also, please mark your calendars, come up to Titusville, visit the Artemis launch. It's coming up soon, so it'll be exciting. I'm sure we'll have 500,000 people in Titusville seeing it, and I'm sure Wayne is excited for a scrub.
Yeah, multiple scrubs.
Multiple scrubs, keep those hotels full, but,
Too early.
what'd you say?
It's the early scrubs that really get you. Empty out your hotel.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, with people being on it, they'll wait till the last minute and try to get it right. And then also I heard rumors that the Cocoa Expo is potentially coming back in a very big way. So on my way here, I was getting some phone calls about what they're looking at doing, and I'm excited, and hopefully they'll
Is there a new buyer? I know it's the bank is selling it.
looking to bring everything back from sports, soccer, baseball, all that stuff. So I told them to reach out to Peter and his team because they know what's going on, because I don't compared to you guys. So thank you very much.
There goes the $1 million.
Maybe not. I heard a Buc-ee's was going to go there, so. I'd say something on the property tax, just real quick, and you were up there. I didn't go with League of Cities or what have you. You have the governor in this equation too, and he's promoted some things, but the governor doesn't send a bill to the legislature, and he doesn't sign the bill either if it goes before the voters. An interesting thing, someone had suggested just this morning that there may be a special session for property tax, which I find particularly interesting because whatever language has to go before the voters must get there to the supervisor in August, in the beginning of August. So they've got I think a short window to get that all hammered out and get it done. So you may not see anything by the end of this session. It may be something for a special session. So there's still a lot that can happen there. Vice Chair Hermanson, sir, and board report.
Nothing big. The hotel demand forecast is, I don't want to sound optimistic because that's not what I do. Normally pessimistic.
I am too. I hear you.
But we're seeing some green shoots in the forward bookings through the spring.
Okay. Is that consumer confidence
Don't
kind of
know.
stuff?
I mean, it's with everything going on in the world.
Low gas prices?
With everything going on in the world. Yeah, according to the White House, gas is only 76 cents a gallon, so it must be gas prices.
Okay. All right, very good. Alex,
Nothing to report, sir.
are you still doing the prefix menu? Or is that,
No,
did I miss that?
that went away. Now
All
we're
right.
just hoping for season. Our busiest months is February and March, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that does.
I had
for
a
us.
conversation with someone the other day about your room. I've never been in the room upstairs that you do private parties. So how many people can you accommodate up there?
24 comfortably.
Okay.
With AV and, other ancillary services.
Okay. And when you do that, I've got to decide for everyone what they're eating, or you give
No.
them like a prefix type of menu, 3 items kind of thing?
We can
No?
be as flexible as you want to be. If
full
you're on
menu?
a budget and you want to lock things down,
Yeah.
we can, but if you just want to let all the guests order off
And you
the
could do that
regular
for lunch too, so you can have a lunch meeting there for,
menu. Not as often, but for you, we can do anything.
okay. I'm helping you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, all right, very good. And then John Moran.
I have a school. Not too much to do with tourism, but we're filled and we're moving forward in building a high school on one of our schools along with a athletic field.
Very good. Wayne.
Charter school?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Wayne,
Oh.
sir?
Also excited about Artemis, and we'll find out. I think Friday's the first wet dress rehearsal, and that's when they'll decide launch date for sure. But right now, it's on the calendar for the 6th of February.
Yeah, it is an exciting time watching the, all of the space activity, and I think the amount of, what do I want to say, PR that we're getting from that, and I think I'm using his words, you can't buy that, right? The kind of advertising that's going on right now. Peter,
Yeah, and speaking of that, part of the spring campaign, next month, we're going to Charlotte to do a sales blitz. We're going to be doing several days of travel agent training with some cruise partners. We'll be doing some sales calls. I'll actually be on air with one of the local TV stations with an astronaut. At that time, of course, we'll be promoting the direct service from Charlotte to MLB as part of that as well. So that'll be a pretty cool couple of days up there that'll get our name out there and get some publicity out there in that market. And then just as also a heads up, I wanted to mention the marketing support program is going really well. Laura and Deborah, who are both here, are working diligently on that program. We've got, a number of the events just want reimbursement of some of their expenses, which that program allows for, but also a number of them like to engage with us and have us do the marketing for them. So that's going on now, and as we get into probably the next month or so, we'll start working on those guidelines for the next year's program. So you'll see that. I don't know if we'll bring it in February. Probably be more like March is what we'll target for that one. So that's it. The next meeting is on the 25th of February, so we'll reconvene at that time.
anything else? No? All right, I'm happy to hear that your season's looking, I know, I'm a half glass full kind of, yeah, empty, whatever. Anyways, so, yeah.
Glass is there and
Yeah,
somebody kicks it over
yeah.
when the government shut down.
I hear, listen, I lived through a lot of this when I worked in the hotel a long time ago. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in February.
Thank you.
All right.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.